Well, here we are, guys. We are in the home stretch to March 3rd and the wide release of the highly anticipated Creed 3. But now it's that time. I've had such a blast looking through this entire Rocky saga so far in the build-up to March 3rd. But now let's add Apollo's son into the mix. 9 years after the release of the very surprising Rocky Balboa comes this legacy film starring Michael B. Jordan alongside Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa. And let me tell you this is around the time in my life I just graduated high school. I got my first job at a movie theater, and I did not know that this movie was coming out until I saw a big theatrical standee in the lobby. And I was like, wait, Apollo Creed's son has a movie now? What's going on here? Little did I know that Ryan Coogler's movie right here would reinvigorate my love for cinema as an art form. So Apollo Creed's son never knew his famous father. His name is Donnie, and he's living a hard life. Boxing is in his blood. He is starting fights in the juvenile centers. He's hopping around from foster home to foster home until Creed's widow actually picks him up. And he grows up to become Michael B. Jordan, who is fantastic in this film. He resigns from his desk job at a financial firm to go after his legacy. He wants to follow in his father's footsteps. Boxing is in his blood. So he seeks out his late father's best friend, Rocky Balboa, played by Sylvester Stallone, of course, and he asks the retired champion to be his trainer. After some coercion, Rocky eventually agrees to mentor him, even as he battles cancer on the side. And Donnie eventually gets a light heavyweight title shot against Pretty Ricky Conlan. But the question for all boxing fans in this movie eventually becomes, can Creed fight? Or is this just a name that's attached to him? Is this just false legacy? Now, much like the original Rocky movie, this Creed film is so much more than just a boxing film, because this has got so much emotional pull to it. Not just based on the fact that this is about two men who are at a point in their lives where they kind of need each other. Donnie Creed has grown up without a father figure pretty much his entire life. Apollo Creed died in the ring before he was even brought onto this planet. And Rocky himself is a little bit older at this point in his life, obviously. He's lost his wife Adrian, as was revealed in Rocky Balboa. And Paulie has also since passed away, which a lot of people were really upset by. But when you see scenes like the one he has in the graveyard where he's reading the newspaper to the tombstones, it's like, oh my god. And then when you see the relationship that these two forged together and the love that they have for one another, the inspiration that they draw out of each other, the lessons that Rocky is teaching Donnie throughout this film, it is just magic. I will never forget. I saw this movie, I think 3 times in the movie theater. I loved it that much. The first time I went and saw it was with my dad. It was such an amazing and incredible experience just to see this on the big screen. Again, it's a Rocky movie on the big screen. And even on a rewatch, you know the outcome here. You pretty much know the Rocky formula. But as Creed stands on its own and how everything is conducted in this movie, I can honestly sit here right now in my studio and tell you that Creed is the best legacy movie of all time. I know, that may be a hot take and a half with The Force Awakens and Top Gun Maverick to compete with, but I think Creed might be the best one. And I'll give you so many reasons why. All these performances across the board. Michael B. Jordan in this movie is so freaking awesome. When you understand why he wants to get in the ring and why he wants to do the thing like his father did, there were many scenes that brought a tear to my eye, even just on this rewatch. But this character really affected me. Super likable, charismatic individual as well. Michael B. Jordan has so much poise and comfortability in front of the camera, and he's such a badass as well. So great in the boxing sequences. You could tell that this guy put the work and the training in for this. But I'd be remiss if I were to leave out Sylvester Stallone in here, because he actually got a nomination for Best Supporting Actor that year in 2015. And honestly, looking back at the competition, this is the award that eventually went to Mark Rylance for his performance in Bridge of Spies. But on a sentimental note, I would have loved to have seen Sylvester Stallone take that trophy home, because much like his work in the previous installment, he is throwing all of his emotional gravitas into this. And a lot of people might think that the cancer storyline might be a bit forced in hindsight here, but I feel like much like Sylvester Stallone writing Adrian off of Rocky Balboa initially, I think that added a lot more emotional pull, because not only is Rocky just teaching Donnie, It actually works both ways now, where they're kind of teaching each other. Now, if you eliminated the cancer storyline, it would have just been a one-way street where it's like, okay, Donnie's just taking all these lessons from Rocky, which are great. The scene in front of the mirror where he's talking about Donnie himself being his toughest opponent, it's such a great lesson again because it just feels like you're fighting yourself in a lot of important, dire situations. And then it's turned around on Rocky when he's actually diagnosed and he doesn't want to get the treatment. So even though this storyline might feel a bit forced, I think it really does add to the emotional depth of this movie because it really does feel like these two men who need each other are teaching each other, and it's not just a one-way street. The acting from your two central performers are fantastic, but please do not overlook Tessa Thompson as the love interest Bianca. This is a really fun character in her own right, but there's also enough emotional background to her that really makes you start to pull for her. She wants to be a musician, but she has progressive hearing loss. So she's got her own fights to overcome. And when Donnie eventually meets her, they become neighbors in this movie initially. He's banging on her door, she doesn't hear him at first. But then when they eventually go out on that date, it makes all the more sense as to why she didn't hear him and why her music was so loud. Guys, I'm telling you, this script, incredibly smart. And again, not just because of the boxing, which is absolutely fantastic. The final fight sequence, again, is very much presented like it is in Rocky Balboa, big pay-per-view main event style bout. The first big fight that Donnie has in this movie, all done completely in one shot. I remember sitting there in the theater just being so enthralled by that whole situation, just thinking, wait, they're not stopping at all. This is so cool. And this is a true testament to Ryan Coogler as a director. It really does feel like he makes this movie his own, while also paying amazing tribute and throwing enough clever homages in there to the original Rocky movies. It is such a perfect blend. The look of this movie also really just makes you feel so immersed in this whole situation. As a wrestling fan, I of course have to be a big fan of Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler. The reason why I bring this up is this is the same DP as The Wrestler. And looking at Creed in these shots, you can certainly see the resemblance. It's a very raw, intense, grimy, and sweaty looking movie. You just feel the air just seeping through the screen. These filmmakers do a phenomenal job of making you feel like you're in it with all of these characters. The movie feels grand enough with the stakes and the characters that are in here, but when you put Ludwig Göransson's score into the mix, I mean, you can't really get much grander than that. And I know that's a hefty statement because this is a follow-up to one of the most iconic movie scores of all time by Bill Conti. Ludwig Göransson, I think, fills these shoes magnificently. Because this score, it's loud, it's orchestral, it's grand, and it really makes you feel like a lot is on the line here. Again, the musical score really makes you feel like this is a different entry into this franchise, and it feels like it's enough to make it stand out on its own. Guys, I can't help but smile whenever I think about this movie. I adore Creed to absolutely no end. I cannot wait to rewatch this movie again and again. It's such a great start to a whole new saga in this universe, if you will. Michael B. Jordan is such a fantastic main character. It's so easy to root for him, but it also pays amazing tribute to the characters of the old, like Sylvester Stallone, who lends what I think may be the best performance of his entire career, and that dude's an icon. This is the movie that really, I think, put Ryan Coogler on the map as a big-time director. And I honestly feel like this is the movie that got him the gig to direct Black Panther. It's easy to see why Marvel found that guy so hireable. And I can't wait to see what else Ryan Coogler does in the chair. Guys, sitting here watching this movie again today just made me so excited to see Creed 3 next week. The first Creed movie, I think, is one of the best in this entire franchise. It's one of the best legacy movies of all time, if not the very best. And it's very easy for me to give Creed an A+. Freaking love this movie, guys, and you should all love Creed 2. Let me know what you thought of it down in the comments section below. What is your favorite entry in the Rocky franchise up to this point? What's your favorite legacy movie also? That's a really fun discussion, I think, to be had. Guys, I obviously love making these videos and discussing all things in cinema and entertainment, including the Rocky franchise. If you're a new viewer, do become a subscriber and tap on that bell so you don't miss another second of this exciting action over here. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers over here. Hopefully we can reach that by the time 2024 comes around. Do me a favor and smash that like button as well. This only helps to continue to grow this amazing community of film lovers over here. Hoo boy, guys, we are in the home stretch of this saga. Look out for my next review on this playlist for Creed 2, where Stephen Caple Jr. comes into the director's chair. Also featuring the return of the one and only Ivan Drago along with his son. Which, if Rocky 4 is any indicator, it's a very personal feud we're going to be talking about. But guys, y'all are the best. Thank you so much again for tuning in. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence!